Are you sick of the way that you're currently living? And you know there's some big changes that you need to make. But perhaps you're afraid to leave that partner that you've been with for years, that you know you're incompatible with. Or to leave that job that you know you hate. Or worse yet, you're trying to fit and shape your life in a way that you know subconsciously is incompatible with your emotional needs. Now, this can have a range of effects, but in this video, I'm going to share with you some things I've learned over the years in taking my power back. How there's two different kinds of power, and how one actually empowers us, and one is actually very disempowering, and we get stuck in subconsciously. And by the end of the video, I'm going to give you 3 tangible things that you can do to start taking your power back today. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Being someone who I always considered was an incredibly helpful person, a very empathic person, being able to feel what other people feel, I always found myself giving a lot of myself to others. And deep down, up until recently, I was not aware of this, but there's this sort of subconscious feeling that I am nothing. And in feeling that I am nothing, I actually gave my power away to these substances, whether it was alcohol, marijuana, what have you. Some people are addicted to porn, right? All these things that can give you high amounts of dopamine. And worse, maybe even people. You give your power away to people who don't respect you, people who don't care for what you have to share with them. And in doing that, we further disempower ourselves. Now, Nikola Tesla says, everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And when we give our power to these substances, or we give our power to these people, there is an exchange of energy that happens. We sort of sign an energetic contract. And in giving some of this energy to them, or these substances, we draw a little bit of their energy into our field. Now, there's a quantum physicist who wrote a book, and he talks about these energetic beings. He talks about them like they're almost like beings or entities called egregores. And you can think of these beings, whether it's smoking marijuana or alcohol, right? Alcohol is literally called spirits. And people, especially narcissists, right? That energy gets drawn into our field, and it sort of has a level of control over us, whether we realize it or not. But we've signed this contract now. And this can be very disempowering over time. I think this is the source of how many addictions start. But the way in which they start is sort of comes from this subconscious place of, I am nothing, right? If you grew up, and many people in my generation, generations before me, grew up even as children, right? That you're meant to be seen and not heard. Or maybe you've just never heard, right? You try to express yourself, or you had some sort of a traumatic incident. Now, let's not get fixated on the past, but it's important to acknowledge that we have these subconscious beliefs that get passed down to us. I talked about this in another video. Subconscious beliefs that we hold on to for our whole lives and operate off of, running scripts in our subconscious minds that we are not even fully aware of until we decide to choose new beliefs. And we're going to get into that in a second here. But important to recognize that what I'm talking about here is called passive power. This is power we're giving away unconsciously through agreements to substances, people, things, power objects, or power targets, I call them. And so let's talk about how we can take our power back. If we're doing this all subconsciously, what's the key to bring this power back, remove this energy that we've accepted in our field? These agreements with these, whether you want to call them entities, or some people call them pendulums, these entities that have a sway over our life. What are we going to do? This is called active power. And active power is something I maybe on a subconscious level kind of knew about, but never really practiced it up until recently. I've read a couple books lately that were very expansive for my consciousness, specifically The Courage to Be Disliked. I think I mentioned this in every video, but this was such a big, this book created such a big breakthrough for me, and even the way it's written is quite beautiful. But we talk about active power, and what happens at this stage of active power, which some people describe as a spiritual awakening, but you don't have to be a spiritual person. All you need to realize is you begin to become aware of this emotional compass. You begin to become aware of what no longer is serving you in your life. And you'll feel icked. You'll feel, rather than feeling fulfilled for a short period and then feeling depressed or shitty after, you'll actually feel repelled when you start to take on active power. And there's 3 ways you can actually activate active power in your life. We're going to talk about that in a sec here. In taking this active power, becoming aware of your emotional compass, you'll begin to see what no longer resonates with you. Now, what you're going to do when you begin to realize your active power, there's a way in managing it, because a lot of people become aware of their active power, get so overwhelmed, and then go back right into their old ways because those old agreements are still there until you begin moving in a different direction. At a high level, we're going to break this down into 3 points, but at a high level, it's to challenge external loyalties, loyalties to groups, loyalties to people, loyalties to habits that you've been doing maybe for years, decades, and begin becoming loyal to yourself, loyal to your soul. Because at a soul level, you're perfect. The soul comes into this vessel of a human body. And I've witnessed it time and time and time and time again when I was working as a paramedic. Seeing all levels of human life was very eye-opening for me, because what I saw is at a soul level, even the most dark, evil people are actually perfect. And it's their lives, it's the environment, it's the habits, it's everything that gets built on top of it that makes us who we are, that can, darken our personalities or lighten our personalities through our beliefs. So not only in choosing new beliefs, which I talk about in a separate video I can plug up there, but in becoming loyal to yourself. And now there's 3 ways you can begin to be more loyal to yourself starting today. The first one here is have the courage to be disliked. Have the courage to be disliked. If you're an empath, if you're somebody who's always catered to others' needs, if you're somebody who's always shifted the way you behave and act so you wouldn't offend others, it's time to offend others. It's time to start saying no to things. It's time to be okay with people not liking who you are. Because for every person that doesn't like who you are, there'll be many others who appreciate you for being you. This version of you that you may have been hiding your whole life. Number 2, there's 2 more. Recognize your usefulness. Everybody on this planet is here for a reason. The world would not be the way it is without you. And I mean that in the best way possible. If you were not here, everything would be very different. I think there's a movie called The Butterfly Effect that kind of touches on this concept of quantum entanglement. How when a butterfly or something small and simple even flaps his wings, the whole quantum field gets affected by it. We're all entangled in each other's lives in one way or another, whether we realize it or not. And so realize you're very useful. Recognize where you're contributing to others. Whether I don't care what you're doing. Maybe you could be a garbage man, right? Maybe you're somebody who works in waste management. You're so useful to the people around you. Maybe you're elderly and you're actually not even working. You don't even think you're contributing to others. But your very existence can be inspiring to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. A very smile from an elderly person can light up a whole room. This is the usefulness. So even if you don't think you're useful, challenge this belief and look at parts of your life where you are actually useful and honor that. And the third one here, see, I have to look at the third one because that's that's something I'm still integrating myself, and that's self-care. When you care for yourself, especially when you can say no to others, like the most empowering thing you can do is when somebody asks to have plans with you and you decline those plans and you end up go do something by yourself just for you, can be the most empowering thing. And if you've never done this in your life, I highly encourage you to do something like this. Next time somebody asks you, a friend group asks you out to go hang out, say no, turn it down politely, and that very night, instead of sitting at home, go do something incredible that you've never done before. Go have dinner for one at a really nice restaurant. Honor yourself and pamper yourself a little bit. Care for yourself, because you'll show yourself at a soul level, that inner child even, that you appreciate fully who you are, that you appreciate your usefulness, that you don't care what other people think of you. And do these habits over and over and over again, these 3 things that I just shared with you, and watch how your life begins to shift. Until next time, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And until next time, peace.